paying attention to people. Like my sister, for example, she's the one person I've been really looking at because she's not, like, she's a couple years older than me, but the difference is she's a parent, I'm not, right? Does anyone here have kids? Parents, make some noise? So you'll understand this. Didn't the whole pandemic let you know it's not the teachers? Your child is a prick. Your child, who gave birth to this spawn of Satan? This demon I never knew. Because you didn't realize the kids were at school, the teachers were saving their life because you want to kill this little dickhead. You didn't know your child until you had to really look after your child all through the day. The kids were doing madness. The teachers were doing God's work, I'm telling you. And I realized this when I go and see my sister, just how stressed out she has been with raising my little nephew. He was 9 at the time, he's 10 now. During the time of the pandemic, 9-year-old, right? I look at him, I'm like, he's a really, really smart kid. But it's not that he's really, really smart. He's like as smart as most 9-year-olds, but the way that they're educated now is different from how we were educated when we were 9. They process things a lot quicker. They do things so much more differently than we do. You'll see like a 5-year-old playing Temple Run for 50 minutes straight, non-stop, don't even die. I can't even get out of the flipping temple. Left, swipe, go, right, all right, monkey, pyramid, jewel. I don't know how they do it. It's wild. And the thing is, when you compare him to my sister, and you see like the level of, all right, let me take the comparison away, because she is actually already on her own pretty slow. So when you look at the two of them, shut up, you don't even know her. Why are you, Aurie, why? You don't know her. She dance, bruv, trust me, you don't know her like I do. So when I compared the two, I could see why she gets stressed out, because he's being himself and she's being herself during a pandemic where both of them are a bit skittish with everything that's going on. I remember going to the house just to check in on them to see how they're doing. I'm sitting at the table, my sister's phone rings. She looks at the phone, it's a number she doesn't recognize. We found out later on, it's Vodafone offering her an upgrade. That's good times. You're getting a new phone because your contract come to an end. But during the time the phone rang, she never knew, looked at the number. After everything that's going on, she's stressed out, picked up the phone and went, hello, who am I speaking to? My nephew was in the living room watching TV. He stood up and looked at her and said, Mom, it's to whom are you speaking with? Yo. Listen, hey, you didn't need to push her buttons like that. She picked up her current phone and threw it at him. Shut up, man. I'm not conversating with you. And he ducked and went, it's conversing, Mum. Yo, they were winding each other up. So I thought I need to do what a good uncle needs to do. My eyes, let me take him away from the house and give her a bit of a breather for about a week, and then give him a bit of a breather. Because it's not their fault they're in this situation. They're forced to have to be in each other's faces, homeschooling and working from home. It's just a lot for them. So if I be a good uncle, let him come to the house. He can do his work at my house. Afterwards, he can play video games. He can relax and chill. And my sister can have some time off as well. Just good uncle is how I saw it. You understand? He's never coming to my house ever again. Do you know why? I realized something. I'm slow too. I didn't know. No, I didn't know. I thought it was, because she's my half-sister, I thought it was the other side of her family that made her, I thought it was them. Turns out the same genetics made me look like an idiot as well. I had no idea. None. I found this out because I'm sitting at the computer, right, doing my tax return, sweating. I like to think it's because I made a whole heap of money and the bill's high, right? That ain't the case. Last year's bill is due. This year I ain't have no work because of everything locked down. So I got to try and figure out ways to write off the bill for this year to make it kind of balanced. So last year, self-employed people know what I'm talking about. You've done this before. You try and write off as much as you can so you don't have to pay that much tax. And I'm writing off everything. Everything. I went to the barbers to look good on stage, write that off. I went KFC, needed energy to get on stage, write that off. I needed transportation to link the girl for research and development for material. Write that off. Shut up. Shut up. I do it for you lot, innit? So as I'm at the computer typing, right, and I'm really getting skittish and sweaty and so on, he comes out of the room and he kind of looks over and sees me. And he goes, rah. And he walks up to me, he goes, Uncle. Looks at the screen, looks at me and goes, wait, are you struggling with maths? Listen. I'm not your mum. I'm not your mum. I was vexed. I said, this is big people math. Come out of this room. You don't know what this is even about, man. Move from me. And he ran into the living room, and I sat down, I carried on typing. About 5 minutes later, he comes back in, and he goes, Uncle, look, I can hear you sweating from next door. Hear me sweating from next door. So, Uncle, I'll tell you what, listen, because I'm pretty good at maths. If you want, I'll do this for you to give you a bit of a break, because obviously you're struggling. Listen. Remember, I'm in write-off mode, innit? How to save money. And in that moment, I'm thinking, if my sister didn't have a son anymore, wouldn't her expenditure be reduced? If I get rid of him, she could save about 30% of her expenditure on food and resources. But I can't kill him because you don't do them things, right? So I did the next best thing. As most parents or adults would do in that situation, I let it get to me, and I said to him, if you're so bad, you do the flipping tax return, yeah? Sit down and do it, bad man. And he did. And he sat down and he started typing, right? And I sat here, and I stood up next to him, and I was like, you know what, watch in 5 minutes when you have to ask me what expenditure means. About 15 minutes go past, he hasn't said a word. He's still typing. So I look at him thinking, do you know what you're doing? Are you all right with this? He goes, I'm okay, but I do have a question. I go, what's the question? Because you don't know nothing. He goes, it's not about this. Listen, Uncle, because I'm doing this for you, would you mind doing my maths homework for me? Because I can't do two at the same time. And my one's a little bit easier, so I don't mind if you... The way I got vexed, but I held it down because I thought about it. He's 9 years old. Maths from a 9-year-old, 2 + 2 is 4. Bring the book, come. Watch me do this, innit? Bring it, come, man. Bring that book, come. And he brought the book to me. And I opened it up and I looked at it. I ain't never felt so much fear in my life from a book of education. What they're doing is different from what I used to do. I read it. You'll understand the fear because this is what the question said. Question 7, and you tell me if you could pick out what threw me off. Question 7. Without the use of a calculator, what am I supposed to? How are you going to cut my legs off and tell me to walk? That makes no sense. But I continued. Without the use of a calculator, state the volume of this sphere by using pi to 7 decimal places. And in my head, I went, pi has 7 decimal places? Well, what it is pi has an infinite amount of numbers after the point. But when I was younger, all that was required was 3.14. And nothing further. But kids now use pi with the equation 22 divided by 7, and offhead they have to remember up to 10 numbers after the decimal point. Your kids, trust me, I started getting vexed. All right. At him, his mum for having him, my dad for having with some other Boris Johnson again. I was screwing. The way I just dashed the book on the floor, man, waste my time. Shut up, man. You don't even need to use pi. I ain't used pi since I was your age. I ain't used pi. I ain't used a Bunsen burner, a protractor square, a compass. You're wasting your time with this education. Wasting your time. You need to learn some proper things, man. When's the last time any of you went in here, went to Burger King and said, excuse me, I did some calculations, yeah, but the volume of this BAP is not what I paid for. I need my bread's worth. Give me my bread's worth right now. Waste of time. But it made me realize 2 things. 1, teachers. Yo, we were clapping for the NHS on Thursdays, right? And that's amazing, but teachers were also doing God's work. Honestly, do we have any teachers in here? You lot deserve every round of applause. You know why? Because you lot were saving kids' lives during the time that you could teach them at school. But also during the pandemic, they were learning from home. You had to keep them at the level of education that they were on before the pandemic, at home, through Zoom, on digital platforms, whilst you knew the other tab was like Netflix or Disney Plus. And keep them at that level of education. You got to clap for teachers. Show them love, please. Now, honestly. That's one thing I learned. The other thing I learned as well, I managed to save £747 on my taxes. That pussy hole's doing it every year. Every year. You want to stay in my family, you need to keep doing that and saving me money.